The wheel strategy sounds almost too good to be true. I mean, you'd think if there was a way to get paid to maybe buy a stock and then get paid again when you own it, every investor would already be using it. But the truth is, most people either overcomplicate it, use it on the wrong stocks, or chase premium without thinking through what happens next. And that's where the wheel can either become a smart, disciplined option strategy or a very expensive mistake. Because when it's done the right way, the wheel gives you a process. You get to set the price where you'd be happy buying a stock. You collect premium while you wait. And if you end up owning the shares, you can collect more income while setting a price you'd be comfortable selling at. And that's why in this masterclass, I'm going to break down 3 things. First, how the cash secured put works and why it's the starting point of the wheel. Second, how covered calls keep the strategy moving forward after you own the shares. And third, how both steps affect your cost basis, your risk, and the stock position itself. My name is Rick Orford. I'm a Wall Street Journal bestselling author, been trading since 1999, and no, I'm not a financial advisor. That is a good thing. I break down the numbers so retail investors like us can make smarter, more confident decisions with our money. So everything in the wheel starts with the cash secured put. A cash secured put is an option strategy where you sell a put option on a stock you'd actually want to own and you collect premium up front. In exchange for that premium, you're taking on the obligation to buy 100 shares of the stock at the strike price if the option buyer exercises the contract. Now, that may sound a little intimidating at first. Actually, folks in my community ask about this all the time, but the logic is actually pretty simple. When you sell a put, you're basically saying, hey, I'm willing to buy this stock at this price. And because I'm willing to make that commitment, I want to get paid for that. And that's why it's called a cash secured put. You need to have enough cash set aside in your account to actually buy those stocks if you get assigned. So if, for example, you sell one put option with a $100 strike price, you need $10,000 in cash or margin available because one options contract controls 100 shares. And this is where a lot of people get the strategy wrong. I mean, it would be one thing if premium alone were the only thing that mattered, but it isn't. This strategy makes the most sense on companies you actually want to own. Because if you keep selling puts long enough, eventually one of them will probably get assigned. And if that happens, you want to be comfortable owning the stock. You don't want to panic because you were only chasing income. And that's really the first rule of the wheel. Only run it on stocks you have real conviction in. Think of it this way. A lot of investors place limit orders and wait for a stock to come down to a price they'd be happy buying it at, right? Well, a cash secured put does something very similar, except instead of waiting around twiddling your thumbs, you collect premium while you wait. So if the stock never drops to your strike price, you keep the premium. And if it does drop, you buy the stock at the strike. And remember, your effective cost basis is reduced by the premiums that you already collected. And that's why people often describe this as getting paid to buy the dip. Now, the first question I got to ask is simple. Do I want to own the stock long term? That could mean a high quality company with solid fundamentals, strong cash flow, a strong competitive position, and a business that I'd actually be comfortable holding through volatility. And I talk a lot about stocks on my channel. And I got to say the most popular ones, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, companies like that. After that, I consider the strike price. The strike should be a level where I genuinely be happy owning that stock, not at a level that only looks attractive because the premium is high. A real price where I'd feel good stepping in even if the stock dropped to that level. Then I look at expiration. In many cases, between 30 and 45 days to expiration offers a good balance. Shorter expiration dates can generate income faster, but they also give the stock less time to recover if there's a sharp drop. And longer than 45 days? Well, it may give the trade more time to work and more premium, but they also tie up your capital for longer. So there's always a bit of a trade-off. Then I pay attention to delta. Delta is often used as a rough proxy, let's say, for the probability that the stock will trade below the strike price at expiration. In other words, it gives you a quick way to estimate whether the option may finish in the money. So if a put option has a delta of 10 or 0.10, that suggests a roughly 10% chance of assignment. 15 delta, 15% chance. I mean, it's not perfect, but it gives you a simple way to compare contracts. Another thing I like to check is the expected move. Expected moves are actually calculated based on at-the-money long straddle prices. Now, it might sound complicated, but think of it like a pretty good estimate of the price range that a stock might trade in over a certain period of time. And the very best way that I know to find expected move is on bar chart. You can find it on the P&L chart function, then click expected move. And the best thing, expected move is available for free on bar chart. Just scan this QR code or click the link in the description. And if you ever decide to upgrade, you're going to get it at a discount just because you used my link. You don't have to, but bar chart, it's probably the most important tool in my toolkit. I use it every single day. And with all the free stuff that it gives you, it's probably one of the best and cheapest tools for options trading that you're going to find. And finally, of course, I also want to know when earnings are coming. This is important. Selling options right before earnings can produce higher premiums, but it also adds event risk. A disappointing earnings report can send the stock sharply lower, and a strong surprise can send it sharply higher. So if I'm trying to run the wheel in a more controlled way, I usually want to be aware of those earnings dates before I place the trade. Now, let's have a look at the wheel strategy with a real example, starting with Nvidia. At the time of recording, it's trading around $225. When you're watching this, it really doesn't matter what the price is. What matters is what comes next. So let's jump into Nvidia's stock profile page here on bar chart and check the naked put screener right here. Now, naked puts and cash secured puts are very similar in practice. The only difference is that naked puts use margin to secure the trade, while cash secured puts, well, they use cash. On the screener, you can see the default, show all, and best fit dropdown right here. And show all does exactly what it sounds like. It shows all the available trades. But as you can see, those premiums are a bit too low to matter. Best fit gives you our narrower choice, but there's only a few choices here. My usual setting is just leave it on default because it gives me trades with a good balance between risk and reward. Now, the first thing I like to do is change the expiration to between 30 and 45 days out. So I'm going to set it to June 18th, which is 33 days away from expiration. Next, I'm going to check expected move right here. According to the P&L chart, Nvidia is expected to trade between $203 and $247 by June 18th. And because this is a cash secured put, I'm going to be using the lower end of that range, which is $203. But of course, I want to set my strike a little lower than that. So instead of $203, we can sell a $200 strike cash secured put on Nvidia. And that gives you a good chance of the option expiring worthless. Now, if you want a little bit more income, you can sell a higher strike. But generally, with the wheel strategy, I prefer the options to expire out of the money or worthless. Now, for the $200 strike put, at the time of recording, you'd get $3.55 a share or $355 total for selling the put. And that's because one options contract controls 100 shares. This put also has a delta of 18, which means there's roughly an 18% chance of assignment. So I'd say that's a pretty decent high probability trade. As long as Nvidia doesn't fall below $200 at expiration, the put expires worthless. You keep the premium and you get to do it again and again and again. Now, if the stock drops to or below your strike price, your option could be assigned. So let's talk about what assignment actually means. Well, in the example, if Nvidia fell below $200 at expiration, say to 180, well, your cash secured put is going to get assigned. It means you're going to buy 100 shares of the stock at $200 per share. And that's the thing about cash secured puts. You buy the stock at your strike price regardless how far it falls. But since you already got paid $3.55 a share, your effective purchase price or your cost is now actually $196.45. Now, that premium doesn't completely eliminate your downside risk, but it does give you a bit of a cushion. It gives you a better entry price than if you had just bought the stock outright at the original market price of $225. And besides, if you sold the put on a stock you genuinely wanted to own, then assignment shouldn't be anything that worries you. You already set the money aside for it. You accepted it as a possible outcome from the start. And if the stock is one that you believe in over the next 3 to 5 years, well, assignment may actually put you in a position that you wanted to anyway, just at a better entry price. So now that you got assigned, you bought the shares, now you move to the next step of the wheel, which is selling the covered call. A covered call is when you sell a call option against shares you already own. And just like the put, you receive premium up front. You can see what's happening here, right? You get paid when stocks go down, and you get paid when stocks go up or sideways. And that's what makes the strategy so appealing. But now, instead of agreeing to buy shares, you're agreeing to sell your shares at a set strike price if the option buyer exercises the contract. And it's called covered calls because you already own the stock needed to fulfill that obligation. If you sell one covered call, of course, you need to own those 100 shares. And the logic here is basically the opposite of the cash secured put. Remember, with the put, you are willing to buy the stock at a lower price and get paid to wait. With the covered call, it's the opposite. You're willing to sell the stock at a higher price and get paid while you're waiting. And that's why strike selection matters just as much here too. I mean, ideally, you'd want to choose a strike where if your shares got called away, you'd be absolutely happy with the sale price. And in almost all cases, that means choosing a strike price well above your cost basis on the stock. That way, if assignment happens on the covered call, you're selling for a profit. And just like before, you collect the premium up front, which lowers your cost basis even more. So let's continue with our Nvidia example, right? You now own 100 shares of Nvidia at a cost of $196.45 each. Let's say the stock drops. It's trading now at $180. Now, all of these are hypothetical scenarios, but let's say that when you check the expected move tab, you see the upper end of the range is at $200. So you decide to sell a $205 strike covered call that expires in 30 days. The strike price is just above the higher end of the expected move range, so you have less chance of assignment. Of course, if you actually want to be assigned, well, you can pick a lower strike price and collect more premium, but that'll be up to you. So for that $205 strike call, say you get $3.20 a share or $320 total per contract. Well, once you collect that premium, you effectively now own Nvidia at $193.25 a share. Remember, you originally sold your cash secured put with a strike of $200. After the put premium, your cost was $196.45. Now it's even lower because you sold a covered call and collected even more premium. As long as the stock stays below your covered call strike at expiration, you can sell another covered call. And maybe that time you get $4.25. That means your effective cost basis now decreases even further to $189. As long as the covered calls continue to expire worthless, you can do this again and again and again. But let's say Nvidia at expiration now trades above the strike price, above $205. Well, now your shares, they get called away. You sell your shares for $205 each, and that's the thing about covered calls. You sell the shares at your strike price, regardless of how much the stock goes up. Even if the stock goes to $1 million, you still sell it at the strike price. Of course, that is a very extreme example, but you get the idea. And the trade-off here is very clear. With a covered call, your upside is capped. Still, in this example, your cost basis, let's say, is $189 a share. So when you sell your shares at $205, you are going to get a cash deposit of $20,500. And of that, $1,600 is your overall profit for the entire trade. And that includes the premiums and the move in the stock. So basically, you generated premium by holding the shares, reduced your cost basis, and then sold the stock at a profit at the end of the cycle. You know what the best thing is? After your covered call gets assigned, you now have cash again, which means you can now go back to step 1 and start selling cash secured puts once again. That is the full wheel in action. And this is exactly why so many investors love the strategy. Now, the biggest advantage of the wheel strategy is that it brings structure to the entire investing process. Instead of guessing whether today is a perfect day to buy a stock, the cash secured put lets you set a price where you'd be happy to buy it at in the future, and you get paid to wait. So instead of simply holding shares and doing nothing with them, the covered call lets you generate additional income while setting a target exit price where you're comfortable selling. And that's because the process repeats. The strategy creates a disciplined loop around ownership, income, and risk management. For long-term investors, all of this can be extremely attractive. I mean, if you already like owning quality businesses, the wheel gives you this systematic way to potentially build positions, lower your cost basis over time, and harvest premiums while the stock moves sideways or gradually higher. But with all that being said, the wheel is not some magic strategy where you get income with no downside. There are some real trade-offs here. For cash secured puts, you always buy the shares at the strike price. So in my previous example, even if Nvidia fell to $100, you still buy them for $200 a share. And that's why stock selection is everything. The premium should never be the single reason you enter the trade. It's the company that should be. You should actually want to own the stock for the long term at the strike price where you sold the put. And that's why you don't just sell cash secured puts on any old company. And then on the covered call side, the biggest trade-off here is capped upside. If your shares get called away and you sell them at the strike, no matter how much higher the stock is trading at, well, the strike price is what you get. And then there's the management side of things. The wheel is not really a set it and forget it strategy. You do need to monitor expiration dates, strike prices, premiums, cost bases, and whether the stock still fits in your original thesis. Because if you get assigned and you can't find enough liquidity for a covered call strike that's already above your cost basis, well, the premiums may be too low to make that trade worth it at the time. What does that mean? Well, you might need to wait a little before making your next trade. Again, that's another reason why you sell puts on stocks you actually want to own. So the strategy requires patience, it requires discipline, and it requires you to care more about the business than the premium. So if I strip everything down, the wheel strategy really comes down to this. You sell a cash secured put on a stock you'd be happy to own. If it expires worthless, you keep the premium and sell another, then another, and another. If you get assigned, you buy the shares, and the premium you collected reduces your cost basis. Then you sell covered calls on those shares. And if that call expires worthless, you keep the premium and repeat. If the shares get called away, you sell at a price you already agreed was acceptable. You collect your cash and you go back to selling puts. That's the wheel. But now I want to turn it over to you. Have you used the wheel strategy before? And if so, how did it work out? And is there any other option strategy you'd like me to cover in the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're there, if you found the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps others find the video, it supports the channel, and it makes sure that you don't miss out on my next deep dive. Well, that's it for me today in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.